What's up YouTube? Welcome to my channel. I'm Justin Davis. You might have been watching other videos out there, and if you're a beginner thinking about getting into FPV, you found the right place because this channel, I've been online for over 8 years. I've reviewed thousands of drones. We've done tutorials, complete breakdowns with 5-inch race quads all the way down to what we call tiny whoops. And today we're gonna fly something that's in the 5-inch category. It's the perfect beginner drone that can get you into, I would say, the art of FPV and filmmaking. It will kind of change the way you fly drones. If you have flown a DJI Mini 3 or a Mavic 3, one of the newer DJI drones, this flies completely different and will give you a total different perspective on drone video. So I like to say that the camera on board an FPV drone for me is it's kind of like my paintbrush. So I know that sounds kind of silly, but you get into a certain zone when you're making a painting and it becomes kind of spiritual in a way. And for me, drone flying, FPV in particular, is and can be spiritual. And you can just find new angles. Every time you go out, you're gonna find new angles for making new cinema videos. And really honestly, some moves and maneuvers that you never thought were possible. And the coolest thing about FPV drones, I think, is that at a certain point when you're watching an FPV video, you kind of forget that it is actually an aircraft and you're just kind of soaring along like a bird in the video. So it will do amazing things that no other aircraft out there can do, and it will completely change your perspective on flying anything on the planet. This is a very unique animal, the FPV Freestyle drone. So let me go ahead and introduce you to the art of FPV with the iFlight Nazgul V2 here, an Insta360 1RS, and that 1-inch sensor mod on the front. We'll do some wide angle FPV cinema flying. After that, we'll review this one on the bench. If you want to check it out after the video, enjoy.
Back when I was 10 years old, with a rose and a valentine, I thought that love was bought and sold, with candy hearts that say be mine. But it's not like the movie show, it's not like the stories read. The more you try, the more you just how hard it can be, not to give up on that dream. Oh, I wish that I'd seen it sooner. I never knew what love was till I knew you. They say the best things in life always take a sweet time. Time with you is all I need. My life is so much sweeter because of you. Oh, because of you. A laugh that always lights the room, a hand to catch the deepest tears, a heart to change the bad to good, a faithful friend through the years. Oh, I wish that I'd seen it sooner. I never knew what love was till I knew you. They say the best things in life always take that sweet time. Time with you is all I need, and my life is so much sweeter because of you. Because of you. Oh, I wish that I'd seen it sooner. I never knew what love was till I knew you. They say the best things in life Always take that sweet time. Time with you is all I need. My love is so much sweeter because of you. Oh, because of you.
Okay guys, welcome to the review part of the iFlight Nazgul 5 V2. This is the new version. It still says V2 on here, but they have a newly updated Blitz F7 flight controller on here. It does have a micro USB port in the side for updating Betaflight and the firmware. It's all open source. If you're brand new to flying FPV race drones or freestyle drones, we all use, pretty much all of us, 98% of people use Betaflight. And we have a 240 millimeter carbon fiber frame from motor to motor. We have a long body design which allows us a much larger 6S battery on board and a full-size action camera, something as large as the Insta360 1R RS version with that 1-inch wide-angle mod lens. And on the Banggood website, the analog version is around $244 without receiver. That's about $50 down from what it used to be. When it first came out, the original version of this was around $300 for a buy and fly during the pandemic, but they have a flash deal on this one right now, and it's down to $244, which is pretty good. You can also add an ELRS receiver on here. You can do FR Sky RXSR receivers. You can do FR Sky XM Plus receiver, and you could do a TBS Crossfire Nano receiver on there, and that'll make this quad fly miles away. And if we look at the quad from the side, you can see that long body design. It has the camera mount up front for any GoPro or action camera. You can even run decased cameras on here, but on the very back of the quad, we have plenty of room for a 6S 1050 up to about a 1400 milliamp battery for plenty of room for long flights. Riding up front, in the front of this frame, you have an R1 Mini 1200 TVL cam. That is a race cam, and it is 2.1 millimeter 19 by 19 mounting point. So you could take this off and put it on other quads, but I think that it looks pretty good in the goggles. It almost looks like an HD camera on my analog goggles. So these are quite a bit different than they were just a few years ago. A really nice camera. Another thing you might notice is that there's a little gray part right here, and this is a TPU mount that's embedded into this carbon fiber sidewall plate. And what that does is it smooths out this camera a little more from the body vibration from the power system. Normally you have a really nice tune on this quad from iFlight. It's a stock tune, which means everything is super smooth. When you take off, you won't see any vibes inside this camera, especially with the Nazgul 5-inch props that are on here. I've had really nice luck with these props. They are a nice sort of medium cord prop with a nice thin taper tip at the end. And I think my favorite part about this whole quad is the flight controller. This is the Blitz F7 flight controller. It is the 1.1 version. It has an MPU 6000 on board. It has OSD. It has onboard flash. It's 16 megabyte black box. So that means it records all the data from the flight down to Betaflight. You can go back and analyze things if you have a problem, which is really, really nice. It also has onboard LEDs. It has smart audio built into it. And just below it right there, it has Sussex XE 45 amp 6S BL Heli 4-in-1 ESC. So those are pretty nice. 45 amp will be able to fly 6S all day long. You can also fly 4S on this quad with no problem. You've got a current burst of about 50 amp on there, so that's a pretty big burst. But it also supports D-Shot 150, 300, 600, multi-shot, and one-shot. My suggestion for the timing on this is that I would probably keep it on D-Shot 300 or 600 for your best performance. Now, riding in the back seat, my most favorite part, besides the flight controller, of course, this is where this quad is a value for people that want to fly medium range. If you want to do some mountain surfing and get up there and do some really sick shots in the mountains, or you want to go far, this VTX right here, that means video transmitter. That video transmitter has adjustable power range up to 800 milliwatt. That's pretty huge. It will go all the way down to 25 milliwatt for close range flying, 200 milliwatt for, I'd say, normal flying, 400 milliwatt for getting you up to 3 miles out there, and 800 milliwatt will literally get you 6 to 8 miles out easily. Now we also have a kind of a medium size antenna. It's not a stubby, but it could use a little longer antenna if you're going to do long range, but you can buy long range antennas for these types of VTXs. You also have a TPU mount down here, and you have a TPU thumb screw right here. So that helps you get this on and off a lot easier. Don't ever use any kind of a wrench on this because you could over tighten it and damage the antenna or the SMA connector. Be very careful about that. We have pretty much M3 hardware on the whole quad right here. We have top mount post here for my receiver antennas coming off for diversity, and down bottom here, just underneath this antenna mount, we have the TBS Crossfire Immortal T antenna set up, ready to go for you. If you decide to get the TBS Crossfire Nano version, that's what this one comes with. And this quad also has one of the most popular motors out there in the FPV and the racing market, the Zing series motors. These are a classic 2207 1800 kV motor, and these are the E Pros from iFlight. A very nice, affordable motor. So if you crash this and you break one of these are not super expensive. They're not the high-end, high-range motors, but they do have a nice anodized aluminum bell, really nice thick core, copper coils in the stator here, and they have a standard size prop nut on top, which I like. Also sporting that Nazgul prop on here. It's a really kind of a sexy looking prop. It has a wide cord here with a nice thin taper, and choosing the right prop to go on a quad to start. If you put terrible props on a quad, you're going to get a terrible performing quad. So you're going to get a lot of jello and a lot of vibes in a tune. So this one flies nice because they chose the right motors, power systems, and the right prop. So if you're still with me at this point, congratulations, because now you get to see a couple more of my choices that have been really hanging in there with me for the last 6 months. And even though these have been out for a little while, these are still really good picks in our industry. You can also get this one at a really good price, around $200 or $250, I believe, with the HD system on board. So I'll put my links down below for my top favorite FPV racing drones right now, and for the budget one, my choice right now is going to be the iFlight Nazgul 5 V2 with the updated Blitz flight controller. A 6S quad is going to get you tons of power on the low end, coming around from those big power loops and things like that. If you're trying to practice Matty flips and things like that, you can get pretty intense with some of the tricks. So you need a lot of power, especially if you're toting something like a GoPro or an Insta361R with that mod on there. It's pretty heavy, so you need max power to be able to do those maneuvers and not bottom out, as we call it. And bottoming out is just coming around the bottom end of that power loop and slamming into the ground because you full throttle and you didn't have enough power to get back up. Any of these quads here will perform and get you out of that type of position. So the next one that I'm going to recommend, and it has 3D props on there currently. You can buy it with regular props, don't worry. Mine's set up for 3D. This is the iFlight Nazgul Evoke V2 with an HD system on board. A very, very nice, robust, and hardcore freestyle drone. This one's a little more expensive than this one. This one is more like a bare bones entry-level beginner quad, and my most recommended quad right now for budget people wanting to get into FPV freestyle. My ultralight pick right now is absolutely the Gep RC Crocodile Baby. This quad is really serving me well. It has smaller motors on here, and it can carry a DK style GoPro. I have a DK GoPro Hero 8 on there, and it also has HD on board with a full-size air module. This is a really, really nice quad, and I get beautiful cinema video from this one. So this one is one that I could kind of throw up anywhere. It also has GPS on the back side of the quad, whereas these two do not. And this one might actually... No, this one does not have GPS on board. So both of these are just pure proximity to medium range flyers and performance, high performance freestyle. If you want more of a cruiser, get the Gep RC Baby Croc 5. This quad has been one of my all-time favorites. So this one has not been sold and still hanging tough on the channel. But guys, I appreciate you watching. this review and checking out FPV Freestyle. If it's the first time, please do subscribe on the channel because you're going to get awesome content, reviews, tutorials, builds, and all kinds of cool stuff, and the giveaway coming up. So I appreciate all you guys watching, and hopefully you learned something today on the channel. I will see you on the next one. Take care, guys. Have a good one.